This, the second National Congress, will build on the really strong foundations we've established over the last 2.5 years. And in this short time, we have actually seen substantial growth in membership and awareness of Congress. We've achieved a high level of interest in our position statements. We've provided input to a broad range of government policies, including Stronger Futures. We've formed relationships with organisations and members of Parliament. And most importantly, we have represented and worked with our members and member organisations and established strong processes for member input to our policy positions.
The National Congress, if it did not exist or ceases to exist, would have to be created in one manifestation or another. Like the phoenix, the need for a national structure will not die, and our right to representation can only be suppressed for a minimum time. For as long as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples exist as the First Peoples, and for as long as the Australian Government attempts to address the reality of Australia's First Peoples, then this representative organisation must appear.
Let me make this clear. We have always said we want substantive change in the issue of constitutional recognition, and we also want substantive protection. We agree the timing of the referendum has to maximise the chance of success. Any successful changes have to make a difference to people's lives. But we will not be letting any future government off the hook. To be successful, much more resource made available to educate the Australian public, and we need political leadership from all sides. We also need your involvement, your support, your ideas. And as you know, there is a lot of support for Congress from outside the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community. We have had many offers of this support, and it is an issue raised with me by members and member organisations. In order to harness that support, today I can announce the establishment of a supporters accord that will enable non-Aboriginal organisations to demonstrate that support for Congress and for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. For the supporter organisation, they sign up to support the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, support for constitutional recognition of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, and support for Congress.
I'm sure that many of our peoples are frustrated by the government's decision to extend the Northern Territory intervention for another 10 years. I am proud that Congress has strongly challenged the government over this legislation and has some minor successes in political procedures. For example, the Minister has been required to submit a statement to the Parliamentary Joint Committee on Human Rights about compliance with international obligations, and 2 United Nations letters of concern over the legislation have been lodged with the Government of Australia. The Minister confirmed in her advice to the Human Rights Committee that the Racial Discrimination Act of 1976 is in full force over the legislation. So it is up to communities and individuals to decide on whether they will invoke the Racial Discrimination Act to try to protect their interests.
Over the last 12 months or so, we've been able to churn out a number of submissions or statements on a range of issues, the inquiry into Indigenous language learning, national cultural policy, Stronger Futures, native title reform, fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, and the National Anti-Racism Strategy. These are all on our website, and again start to really define the organisation, what we stand for, what issues we think are important. But the issue is not just about the policy statements. We've had discussions around the board table about there's policy everywhere. Lots of policy, lots of research on Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. The real work comes in the advocacy of that and actually progressing what we're proposing in those submissions.